Polls.
We all ready? Jim?
Good.
Earl?
Yep.
Good evening. Call the April 12th, 2022 Murraysville Planning Commission meeting to order. Will you please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ed, are you pledging allegiance to the flag or to the Easter Bunny up there? Okay, would you please call a roll?
Mr. Lemke, Ms. Hoy,
Here.
Mr. Midal,
Here.
Mr. Patrick,
Here.
Mr. Olszewski,
Here.
Mr. Kearns, Mr. Levecki.
Here.
Okay, first item of business is a public hearing for a conditional use application for Tommy's Express Car Wash. This is a site plan and a conditional use major land development for two parcels on Old William Penn next to the former PNC building. Is someone here representing the applicant?
My name is Charles Huggenroder. I'm representing Tommy's Car Wash. And you'll recognize this from the zoning change that we did a couple months back. This is a conditional use in a B district now, business district. And the applicant wants to put in a high-end type of car wash.
Charlie, could you pull the microphone a little closer to you?
Is that better?
Yeah.
The applicant is planning to put in a high-end type of car wash, almost like the auto bathhouse that you saw in Monroeville or see in Monroeville. It's automated, but it's fully staffed. They have plans that shows, and I know that one of the issues was the stacking, and we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. But, and I think everyone has had opportunity to look at this package, what this looks like. Okay. You want to go through some of the engineering? Okay.
As our plan
Name,
Matt Shinton from Kimley Horn. Matt Shinton from Kimley Horn, Shinton. Tommy's Car Wash is proposing to demolish the existing, now vacant used car buildings, all the buildings on the property, as well as the house that's on there as well, consolidate both of those lots into one. There's an existing alley that also runs through the property that's being sort of stricken from the plan during the lot consolidation process. They're building a single tunnel automatic car wash. It'll have two pay lanes, which is essentially where you stack to pay for your wash, which provides 12 queuing spots for vehicles. Then you'll make a loop into the wash tunnel is what they call it, and you'll come out and you'll get free vacuums on the backside towards Old William Penn Highway. We have all of our applications into the Municipal Authority for Sewer, Conservation District for the Erosion, Sediment, and Stormwater Control and Approval, as well as PennDOT for a highway occupancy permit as well.
Any questions?
I have several. And looking at one of the site plans, there's these, kind of go like this.
Which drawing are you on, Bob?
I don't know.
Get there.
It's
on the
It's a
screen,
site
Bob.
plan, it's,
Yeah, so what I think you're looking at is towards the rear at Old William Penn Highway. It's showing the vacuums. So they have sort of a long tubular arm where the hose comes out. So it's
Okay.
over your car so that you can grab it off of the hook. And actually in this packet sort of the pictures of what a Tommy's look like. There should be a picture in there of what the vacuums look like.
and there's what, 3 or 5
Looks like there's more.
opposite of that, correct?
Yes, so there's 5 up against the building and there's 8 on the other side. So a total of 13 vacuum spaces.
Now, Mr. Hergenroder said that this is a full service similar to Rocket Car Wash up in Monroeville. How many employees do you have here?
So we typically have about 2 employees, 2 to 3. There's 5 employee spots sort of by the dumpster there, as well as one that's sort of up against the building. But the facility is always manned by someone either at the pay window, so you can always sort of render cash, get change by the pay lanes, and they're monitoring the gates, the entry gates to come in and out of the wash tunnel. Then there's 2 other employees that are usually either helping people get onto the belt inside of the wash tunnel or doing other sort of administrative tasks in the building.
So you don't do the interior of any of the vehicles or do the windows or?
Yeah, no, so in terms of your question, it's not something where there's employees detailing cars. It's essentially self-service. So you would go through the wash tunnel, you pull out, you go to the vacuums, you get out of your own car, you grab the vacuum off the hook and you vacuum your car and then you pull away. But there's no employees doing either the washing or the vacuuming.
I see.
And there's no public access inside the building as well. It's for employees only.
The thing that's interesting to me is that with the vacuum arrangement, you have to pull in and then back out. How much of a safety problem does that present? I mean, people backing into each other. I mean, I know being in a shopping center, that's the most
Yeah, I
risky
mean,
thing going.
Tommy's does a lot of these in this format, and they have not reported a significant issue with people backing up into each other. The parking aisle is fairly wide in general, that 2 vehicles could back up sort of at the same time. Not recommended, but there's a lot of room back there for people to back up, as well as those vacuum spaces are also a lot wider than your typical parking spot, obviously, so that you can get in and open your doors and do that other stuff. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of room back there to
It
play.
says that they're 14 feet wide on this drawing.
Okay.
I see a dimension of 30, but I don't know, I see where it starts on one side, but
So 30 is the dimension of the drive aisle back there, where typically you get
Okay.
24.
Right.
It's a little bit wider. It's
How deep's the stall in front of the vacuum?
that,
the concrete area there.
no,
Well, from where you pull in to the vacuum,
It's 18, so they're 14 foot by 18 foot deep spots. So you can get the whole car inside there without encroaching on that 30-foot drive aisle.
and open the doors
Yep.
and all that.
right.
Hey, you're aware that our ordinance specifically says that all the equipment is supposed to be inside of a building.
Yes.
How do you propose to get around that?
So we're working through that, but there's sort of a natural grade change there between Old William Penn and the site. So that slope is sort of shielding in those vacuums as well, from at least from the top side down, as well as the building wall from William Penn Highway is providing some visual screening from that as well. And then there'll be landscaping on the plan left side there as well to shield it from the other.
But doesn't the ordinance say that it's supposed to be enclosed in a,
It says automatic washing facilities or washing facilities. Vacuuming, it's something we'd like to work through, since this is how Tommy's has been doing their other ones.
okay?
So does that require a waiver?
Well, we can't, I don't think we can waive it since it's a zoning requirement.
Okay.
So it'd have to go to get a variant, go the variance route.
Well, how do they handle the air service at Sheetz and other places? We have free air. I mean, that's a piece of equipment. I mean, is that in an enclosure?
Nope.
So,
There's also a car wash down the street that has vacuums that are not inside the enclosure either.
I understand those have been there for,
Yeah.
I don't know whether they're
Yeah, one's not equal
pre-ordinance
to the
or
other, but
whatever,
just
yeah.
when in comparison, yes.
So what is the elevation difference between the highway and those stalls?
I believe it's about 8 feet or so. The slope's close to 2 to 1 up there, and we've got some sort of.
Looks like about 6 feet from the entrance road onto Old William Penn.
Is there sufficient area there to landscape?
Yeah.
I think he's talking about over here. I think he's talking about toward William Penn, New William Penn, right?
Oh, New William Penn, there's quite a bit of
Yeah,
elevation.
New
difference.
England there is between Old William Penn and where that, and essentially that entire site has to sit relatively flat, so it's sort of in the middle there. Obviously, there's elevation change between Old William.
So the elevation
It's 6 feet
Is it, yeah, 976,
and 970.
right. But it's 976 to 973 where the vacuums would be. Oh, wait, it says
No.
969.
No, but see, you're assuming that the driveway's not, the driveway's sloping, and these are all same, at the top level.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right here, it says 969. I'm on the grading plan, C200.
Well, there's, you can fight over the couple of feet difference, but there's 6 or 8 feet from new 22 up to the car wash elevation, and another 6 to 8 feet from Old William Penn down to the, basically where the car wash pad is. Maybe a little more or less because the road's slow. What's this building look like?
So in the land development submission, should be, and you guys should have it, but there's a whole packet that gives, and there's also architectural, I'll call it renderings of the building as well that are in there. So, yeah.
What's it made out of?
Glass, it's got a bunch of glass on either side of the wash tunnels, it's got a translucent domed, sort of half-domed roof, and then some other sort of glazed, somewhat glazed
Bob.
panels everywhere else.
As in metal panels?
They're not sheet metal, they're painted metal.
Right. Let me see here.
So could you kind of describe this building facade to us a little better?
Yeah, there is a,
Let's see if I can find a color drawing.
yeah, there's a couple of color ones in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to
It's
find.
labeled franchise and architectural information.
Yeah, this is the architectural sheet here.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, there's,
I see architecture.
There you go, Bob. It's up on.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a stucco type kind of facade on the one side as well. Some metal paneling that's there. There are different architectural options in the Tommy's portfolio as well. It doesn't have to be.
Like what?
They can change some colors. I mean, they can sort of go through a lot of this stuff. I mean, I wouldn't say it's 100% customizable, but they have ability to change things on the architecture.
How long is the total building?
So it's this one's the 90-foot wash tunnel. So it's about 120, 110 by the time you get the sort of the two appendages on either end.
Okay, so this is not a typical steel building.
No. They're all, if you can tell from the pictures, they're fairly high-end finishes for a car wash. It's not your sheet metal, light industrial building that somebody put a car wash in, if that's what your concern is.
Okay.
what are the roof panels?
So, for lack of a better term, they're basically plexiglass. They're
Okay, so they are
frosted
translucent.
Yeah, they're translucent, yeah. So, they're part of their whole, they have a water reclamation system, but also the translucent light panels are all about energy efficiency so that you basically don't have to use as much lighting inside the tunnel. The tunnel's bright, that's why there's windows on either side too. So, gets out of that sort of dark wash tunnel that you probably typically have gone through in other automatic washes as well.
How long have they used this design? And you mentioned it's in other areas. I mean, what's the...
Yeah, so Tommy's is relatively new to the car wash market. This is the stuff where we do other car washes. This is the format of car washes moving forward, is this, this longer wash tunnel with subscription service, and most of the buildings look pretty similar to this, to be honest. So they've been around for a handful of years right now. I don't know when they're going to update the next design round. It could be, 10 years down the road. It could be never. They could stick with this forever.
What I'm wondering about is the longevity of the plexiglass roof? Because, these systems don't take to UV very well, and I'm just wondering long-term how well that holds up. And so I was just curious about what their experience has been.
Yeah, I don't have I guess the expert answer for you on that, since that's something that they do with their architectural team. But if it's a question that we need to coordinate with the town on, we certainly can do that.
Are there garage doors?
There are. So the wash tunnels do close at night,
Okay.
but they're generally open during business hours, but they're only closed for safety and security reasons.
And are there windows in those garage doors? Because we have a glazing requirement.
Yes, and we submitted plans, and I know Jim's comment was that obviously waiting until full building plan approval, but we had demonstrated compliance with the 20% glazing. I'm going to look to see if there's a version of the here.
Is there a view of the building from Old William Penn?
Yeah, this is it here.
No, on the architectural plans.
Yeah, this is from Old William Penn here.
That's from Old William Penn.
That would be what you'd be looking at from Old William Penn, is that side with the pay canopies. On this one, we only have 2 pay lanes, so that third lane would be gone, but essentially that's what you'd see from Old William Penn.
Yeah, this is.
Or, I'm sorry, New William Penn.
Where you turn into you make the U-turn, the radius seems a little short. And I noticed that you kind of bubbled out because I guess your auto turn shows that it's going to move around there. What did you use for your auto turn?
So we're using basically a passenger vehicle. The wash tunnel can't fit anything more than basically a pickup truck. I mean, pickup truck's the biggest thing, and they've run an auto turn for that on that. So essentially, it's designed to handle a pickup truck.
So these extended cab trucks,
They should be able to, like an extended cab pickup truck would go through it, yeah.
even with a quad cab and an 8-foot bed, that's a big truck.
Yeah, I believe they sized them for an F-250 is what they.
Okay.
So is there only one car in the bay at a time, or is it tandem?
No, it's tandem. So essentially, if all pay lanes are full, what they call the apex, so the horseshoe there, and the wash tunnel full, they can put 23 cars from the time you leave the wash tunnel all the way through to fill pay lanes. But they're essentially bumper to bumper inside of the wash tunnel.
So it's continuous.
Continuous, yep. And Tommy's uses a system where it's like the belt at the end of when you check out at the supermarket. So essentially you drive up, you don't have to align it to a belt system anymore. You can just drive right up onto it, so it increases their ability to load faster.
It's more of a conveyor
Yep.
system. Okay.
So the cars are then in park. The cars are in park, and then they're being taken through. That's interesting, because I'm trying to think of the coordination of getting on and off an escalator, for instance. You see the people that stumble at the end. I mean, how do you? I guess
When do you know to put
you
your
have
car
to.
in drive?
Yes, you have to rely on the capacity of the driver, but knowing the drivers that I've seen around, I'm wondering because now you have to go out of park into drive.
I should
and
probably clarify.
anticipate.
It's neutral, just like your other car washes. So it's neutral with your foot on the brake. So when you get to the end of the wash tunnel, it basically spits you out, and then you
Oh, okay. It pushes you onto the.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
push you onto the ramp at the end, and then you can, and the ramp's tilted out so that, the car doesn't roll back into the wash tunnel.
So you're not in park. You're in neutral.
You're in neutral.
Got it. Thank you.
Sorry, should have clarified.
Could you describe the landscaping to us a little bit?
Sure. Let me pull up the landscape.
What sheet would I look at for landscape?
So I know we had gotten some comments, and we're addressing those comments as well in terms of some of the landscaping there.
It's up on the board, Bob.
But some of the, some trees out front, obviously to the side as well, there'll be, some vegetation along that steeper slope in the back by Old William Penn, as part of your ordinance to basically revegetate that steeper slope. And then some vegetative screening around the trash enclosure as well. And that trash enclosure is essentially a little bit into the hill. So it's already sunk down a little bit more, than we're landscaping around that as well.
Go back, Jim. Where's the dumpster at?
Up here in this corner,
Up there
Upper
in the
left
corner,
of that.
that's right.
Old William Penn Highway.
And it's lower than Old William Penn Highway.
Now, that's near 22, new 22.
No, top of the page is old.
So it's at the same ground elevation as those vacuums, so it's about 6 to 7 feet below Old William Penn.
Okay, and it's got an enclosure around it and gates and all
Gates
that.
and all that, yep.
Why is there no landscaping down there by the U-turn going into the car?
There can be, if that's feedback that you'd want. We can certainly consider putting more landscaping around the apex there. That's some feedback that we're going to incorporate.
Well, there is a requirement that there's landscaping, adjacent to the building as well.
Yes, so that's something we're working through with Tommy's. So essentially, the building, the apex, and the pay lanes are all something they develop at the corporate level. So we've got to work with them a little bit to adjust what's inside of sort of what's next to the building. So that's what we're working through with them. But we got that comment, and we plan to address planning against the building as well.
Well, from this plan here, is that, as it's shown right now, it looks like out in the left-hand side when you exit the tunnel, it looks like there's a tree or something there.
Yep. Yes, there's landscaping at the end of the wash tunnel there, and we tried to squeeze in landscaping where we could fit it.
Okay, and now across the front of the building, as you're, paying and all, what is that just grass along there?
Yeah, so there's grass in that slope that goes down to New William Penn, and then you can see there's a couple of trees that are out front. But there's nothing between the pay lanes and the building, which I believe that's where the comment came, which is something we're working through.
So was ingress and egress 2 lanes both directions to Old William Penn and New William Penn?
Yeah, so both of them, you can get in and out from both driveways. Obviously, the one on New William Penn is a right in, right out driveway. And the one to Old William Penn is a full access. You can right in, right out, left in, left out.
I assume you've applied to PennDOT for your.
We have, yes. We've gotten 2 reviews back. We've just got the 3rd one back, and essentially administrative comments that we're just cleaning up, as well as we'll have to submit a stormwater HOP for the connection of the storm pipe into the state drainage system.
What about pervious paving? Is there any?
There's no pervious paving.
Don't we require pervious paving?
Yes.
I
And
think it's
for
50%.
50% of the parking spaces, not 50% of the site, I don't believe.
So are the vacuum areas considered parking? Because that's what you're going to do, is park there.
They haven't got the stormwater review yet. We just received that. But I would strongly recommend that any paving be pervious paving there so that we can meet our MS4 requirements, because that is in the impact area. So that may have been a comment.
Okay, yeah, we didn't see the stormwater review yet, but
Okay.
that's a comment. We'll work through that.
Yeah, you might consider some of the stalls and all for,
Yeah, I'm looking at light-duty asphalt, standard-duty concrete, heavy-duty concrete, concrete sidewalk. So you need another category there.
Especially around the discharge area with the vehicles coming out of the car wash, typically a wet area.
now where's the stormwater discharge to?
So it all gets collected into an underground detention facility by the vacuum spaces, and then it will then eventually flow out into New William Penn in a closed system, and then connect into the drainage system out there.
What kind of cleaning solution is used inside that will go along with that wastewater?
So that wastewater is only stormwater. They have their own drains inside that go to a reclamation system, which is, if you look in the pay lanes out front, there's a couple of manholes. It looks like a couple of precast concrete boxes that are in there. All that inside water gets put in there. It gets scrubbed and reused to a certain extent. So that's where all of that, and then that's discharged to the sewer system. So none of the the detergent agents or any of that is intended to go in the storm system.
Okay.
So how do they separate? I mean, obviously, if you're washing cars, you're taking soil off the cars. How is all that handled? I mean, how is that discharged?
From the when it's washed, it's just picked up in drains. It
Where's
goes
the
to
dirt go?
Yeah, it goes to the reclamation system, and then they have to vac it out from the reclamation system at a periodic interval.
Okay, so what's been their experience in terms of maintenance on something like that?
Depends on how many cars they wash. It could be
What time of
monthly.
year it is,
Yeah, it
yeah.
could be monthly. It could be weekly. It depends on the operator and how many cars. I forget what the number is off the top of my head. That once they have a system, Tommy's does, that says essentially their protocols is once you wash X number of cars, you should get your reclamation system backed out.
Okay, so then they have a hydrovac come in and do that, or?
Yeah.
Now, is that something they have their own service, or they contract that out, or?
I don't believe Tommy's has there's not a Tommy's branded truck with a hydrovac. They just contract with some sort of environmental, firm that does hydrovacing. Same thing like if you had to clean your grease trap out.
So what do you have for lighting? I see there's a photometric plan. I think it's like the last page or something, but what are the fixtures and all?
So I know that came up as a comment in the latest review letter. So there's we didn't do the lighting plan. There's a different subconsultant, so we're coordinating with them to get the fixtures on the plan. But they're typically just your regular parking lot lights, the box heads, 90 degrees. They're not wide area floodlights. They're just there and most of the time, since Tommy's only operates roughly somewhere between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m., other than in the winter, especially up here, the lighting's mostly for just safety and security at night for the building. Once you get past daylight savings time, it's a couple of months up here that you need your lights on at 7. But other than that, typically they don't need them for actual operation.
It looks like the lighting overflows the property lines.
It does slightly near Old William Penn.
And New William Penn.
That's a problem.
Are these, how many lights are there? And I couldn't tell where they all are.
Looks like there's 24. You've got 1 through 24.
Yep.
It's very hard to tell on the plan where they are.
So
X1, 23.
there's a couple of triple-headed ones that are on poles, and there's a handful of wall packs that are on the building.
Wall
And they're the dark black sort of squares that you see on the plan there.
On this one, you can see it's these little guys on the building.
Okay, so like how you don't recall? You had a subconsultant do this, so you probably don't know how high these
17 foot
17 foot.
says on here. Area lights on new
They-
17-foot poles mounted on 3-foot concrete bases.
Are they high cutoff shoebox type?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's shoebox lights.
Okay. And I seem to recall reading a report from our traffic consultant with a whole bunch of comments on the traffic information you supplied. Are you addressing those as well?
Yeah, so right now what we're doing is your traffic engineer had asked for additional data from Tommy's to support the ITE, the International Traffic Engineers. The ITE, International Traffic Engineers, trip generation manual. So basically a whole bunch of surveyed sites that they create an aggregate and an average. So what they would like us to do is get Tommy's to provide additional transactional data to support those numbers. So right now we're working through with Tommy's to get that number to then have a conversation with your traffic engineer so that we can all come to an agreement on the anticipated traffic for this.
So this is basically a franchise?
Yes. Yeah, so our client is the franchisee, and then there's Tommy's corporate that sort of program manages all of these franchises, essentially. So
I don't expect you to answer this, but Do we have any concerns, Mr. Morrison, about the entrance on Old William Penn being a full service? In other
In and
words, you
out.
can make a left coming out of there, crossing over.
How many feet is it to the intersection?
What's the whole length
It's
of
more
the?
than the 30 feet that's required in the ordinance, but no, we have not got those comments back from the traffic engineer yet, but it was identified there, concerns about stacking and turning there.
How about peak time for a traffic impact study? Peak times, I mean, when that high school lets out, there are tons of cars that are coming out there, and they're rolling there for 20 minutes to half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially the traffic study is done on what the highest volume of traffic on the adjacent street is, which ends up becoming the peak hour. So when we do the traffic study that was requested by the traffic engineer, we'll figure out what that time is. Typically, though, for most retail establishments, it's 4 to 6 p.m. Somewhere in that, there's
Well, I can tell you it's earlier there.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
2:30.
It's 2:20 to 2:45.
4 o'clock.
Minimum.
And then we have to juxtapose that on when Tommy's has their typical peak hour too as well, because we could see that you guys have your peak hours at 2:30. Tommy's may say that most people on their way home from work are washing their cars at 5. So we got to kind of come to an agreement with your traffic engineer. Should we look at what your 2:30 hour is, or should we look at when there's the most amount of traffic coming out of the site? So it's another.
Well, maybe both.
Well, yeah, basically you have history of what's happening in that 2:30 to 3 o'clock time frame. So we just compare the load, the traffic load versus, Tommy's experience.
Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Just going back to the lighting, so you're going to basically have parking lot lighting there, and then security lighting on the building.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, 7 o'clock, you say, does the parking lot lighting go out?
I'd have to check with them on the operation of whether or not that lighting goes out, but my guess is that the parking lot lighting probably still remains on.
I would guess that probably should go off.
Okay.
I would guess that would be a condition that could be placed on. No other questions or comments at this time? No.
Just one other comment, Mr. Chairman. I would refer you to Section 22030, which are the general conditions for approval of conditional use, and be prepared to address those at the conditional use hearing before council.
Since this is a public hearing, is there any member of the audience that has any questions or comments? Yes, young lady. Could you please use the microphone?
Told her to state her name.
Yeah.
My name is Joan Kearns. I live at 4997 Longview Court, Murraysville, and I've been a resident of this town since 1975 and been through all the rezoning issues that have ended up in having conditional use along sections of Old William Penn. Having seen this for the first time, my first issue is we have always been fortunate in the stretch from School Road down to the Get-Go parking lot of having development that was compatible. Seeing this illustration, we will have something that sits out like a sore thumb, which is maybe what the applicant wishes, but it will be there will be no congruity between the rest of the buildings along there. There are two structures, at least, across Old William Penn who still have residential occupants, regardless of how they are zoned.
You're referring to Old William Penn, right, John?
Across Old William Penn, that's correct. I don't know that there is any discussion, I did not hear it tonight, of noise control I've been in the areas of car washes many times, fancy ones, unfancy ones. They are loud. The vacuum systems particularly are loud. You talked briefly about traffic congestion. Pardon me. As you well know, Old William Penn is the escape route off of Route 22 for people who are traveling to the east. So from about 3:30 on, you have car after car after car after car stretched back beyond Tar Hollow Road all the way through. So you're going to have a lot of congestion in that area, in addition to the students that come out of the high school. And if there's anything going on at the high school, you have even more congestion. It's kind of like a nightmare waiting to happen. I think you have to look very carefully at these, particularly the congestion issues, the building design, which is not at all compatible with anything along that stretch until you get down to Giant Eagle, which is directly across from a shopping center. That's a different scenario. When you have it across from professional buildings and, properties that are occupied by people, residential, you have a different issue, and I think that's a very serious issue to consider. Last thing we want to do is turn the Old William Penn stretch into a hodgepodge. And from what I see here, it's going to be a very congested hodgepodge, squeezed into a lot, and for that we're going to lose a building that is well over 100 years old, and I think that's a crime, quite frankly. I'm a history buff, as you well know. And we can't stop development because it's a very old house, but it's also something that I hate to see lose or be lost for a car wash of very incompatible design. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else have any comments from the audience? So later on in the agenda, right after this, we then consider acceptance of this application, correct, Mr. Morrison?
That's correct.
Okay, and that starts the 90-day clock for reviews.
It would start the conditional use hearing process at the council level and the review process. That's correct.
Okay. Did I see something in there about they giving us a time waiver already?
Staff is recommending under that item that we not accept the plan at this point due to the review time period and the time requested by the applicant to respond to those review comments.
Okay, well, let's take that up under the agenda item for discussing the acceptance. We can close the public hearing. Now, is there any objections to closing the public hearing?
No.
No.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Can all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is to consider acceptance of Tommy's Car Wash. You just heard from Mr. Morrison, the staff is recommending that we not accept it at this time. Is that correct, Mr. Morrison?
That's correct.
And because it's not a complete application?
That's correct.
The applicant's willing to give a time waiver if you want to table it until such time as they can complete the traffic study, some of the other studies that were talked about.
Go ahead.
Well, why don't we just not accept it tonight, and so basically the same thing as tabling it.
Yeah, could do that.
Yeah.
If you needed a time.
The sensitive time here is the conditional use hearing. The planning code does not require a public hearing at the planning commission level. That's something unique to Murraysville.
Right.
But once the conditional use hearing is held at the council level, then that triggers all kind of timelines. So
But this one did not.
that's correct.
Okay.
The only timeline that would be triggered tonight is if the planning commission would accept the application. And typically, through the plan approval process, the conditional use needs to be granted before site plan consideration. So I would prefer that the site plan be complete, the application be complete, so that we can give the review and schedule appropriately the conditional use hearing.
I guess the thing that, while we're still here talking, Mrs. Kearns raised an interesting issue. When, I visit areas like Hilton Head, you, I'm sure, have been to Hilton Head, you know that all of those businesses along that area are
Hidden.
driven to be subdued. You have a hard time finding Mickey D's when you need a Mac attack. So I guess the question is that have you run into concerns where a gaudy looking facade is considered not acceptable?
I'm sure they've had concerns where they had to change things on the facade. As Matt talked about, they have a variety of different facades. They don't believe that it's what they're giving you is gaudy. They think it's a beautiful building.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, I've said that many times in front of you and council and what have you. So, again, it's a conditional use. You can put conditions on it. I'm sure they're not unwilling to work with the municipality as to solve different conditions. Colors and things like that. I don't think colors are set in stone, are they, Matt?
Can I ask, is there a more traditional design
I don't know.
for that would
Brick?
cover the same footprint?
You mean like in terms of the actual dimensions and?
Well, considering
The
the footprint
materials
is
used to build the
the
building.
If
facades.
there's multiple options of the facade, we can, obviously start coordinating.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they would fit on the same footprint.
Yeah, it would all fit on the same footprint. Essentially, they have a couple of different, what they'll call floor plates,
Yeah.
90-foot wash tunnel, 10-foot wash tunnel, 130-foot, but they
Okay.
all have roughly the same aesthetics.
There you go.
yeah, to me,
So it might
the big
be-
wave with the tunnel of love kind of thing looks a little bit like Kennywood.
So maybe if there was a more traditional design of the facade, maybe those options could be put forth if it's not going to change the actual site plan.
Yeah.
As a point of information, Anthony found a more traditional facade on your website
Oh, really?
in Columbia.
It's all brick.
Yeah, it's brick.
I would like to see that.
Tommy's?
Come on over.
Yes.
Come on down.
Share that.
There's
Yeah, how can I
multiple
share that?
facade options that are out there. I
That looks much better,
Let's, there we go.
Yeah,
much better.
go ahead.
Yeah, it's better. But I think
way more
Joan brought up a good point about noise.
So we're going to be completing a noise study
Okay,
as part of the ordinance requirement.
yeah,
Yeah, so
go to the side,
that looks like,
More.
Jackie.
that's normal?
Well, that's a side.
I like the brick a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks
certainly.
much better.
We'll communicate that back to the applicant on that. Obviously, Murray's requesting that they
you can-
revisit the aesthetics a little bit.
You can ask the parts store what they went through with their design facade down there.
Is that what everyone wants?
Well, it's not everyone wants it. We're looking for alternatives because what's there looks, to me, that front end with the spokes going up, if you told me you had crawling LED lights now, that would really finish it. But
Yeah, I think the issue here is they've created something that is very,
Can you forward that?
Yeah, let me,
belongs along a highway.
Right.
It's there the design of it is to attract people to
I'll help you find it.
to come to our car wash. I think the planning commission is looking for something that's a lot more subdued and fits in better with the neighborhood.
Right, I agree 100%.
You know, if you look at the professional office building, kind of catty corner from it,
Right.
it's
Brick
low,
and,
low key, not sticking up in the air, no flashing lights, no metal panels that look, it's fine along a highway somewhere. And I understand that this is along a highway, but you
also
got
along
a back road kind of thing.
fortunately, you're facing both. You have kind of a back road, and that little island that you're on is such a narrow little island. So you're facing the highway issue versus the suburban side.
I have a question. I'm in the Tommy's Car Wash franchise and architectural information, and I see something that says 4.6 horsepower motors, motion sensor lights. What's that?
Motion sensor lights?
Yeah.
So they have lights that are on the vacuums. Sorry, they have lights that are on the vacuums that indicate whether or not they're occupied or not. So when you pull into the, sort of that back area, you know which one you can pull into.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to hear what the noise level is if you have all those vacuums going at once. That'd be really interesting.
Right.
So we did an application down in Pleasant Hills, and we had to do a noise study down there as well, same amount of vacuums. And all the sound was contained, to their noise ordinance was contained within the property lines. So they're not as loud as they probably were years ago. Not saying that they don't create noise, but we'll provide that noise study for you all.
Okay.
Could you share my screen, please?
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Much better.
More in character of the community.
Sure, we will share that feedback.
Okay. All right.
There is,
Yeah, there's. If you,
So that side would face New William Penn.
right.
That would be the New William Penn side.
What do the ends look like where you have your big red thing? What would that look like in buildings such as that?
I don't know what it would look like with the brick on it.
It's
to be honest
same.
with you.
It's the same.
Same
It's
big
still got the red
There it is there.
metal.
They've got the wave.
Oops, lost it. There it is. Could you share the screen, please? There you go.
Okay, we have choices of colors now. Do we get something other than orange?
That's something we can look into with the architectural team.
What would you like, Ed?
Pardon?
What would you like?
Green.
We could make it pink.
A mild blue, like it's,
Well, maybe
Like a
that's,
water-
maybe
water-
that's,
a water
that's
bl- a
something
water
you could
blue,
probably
you
start
know.
working with the staff
Yeah.
on after
exactly.
hearing these comments and trying to come up with something that's okay. Okay, so we have, we're going to recommend that we not accept
Correct.
the application as presented here tonight, and hopefully by next month it would be ready.
I make a motion to not accept.
second.
Moved and seconded. Third, and all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank
We're
you.
done with the public hearing.
Yes.
Yeah, you're done with that. Okay, well, we're moving on to item number 2, the Seco Battaglia slot line revision and consolidation. Someone here? Hi, Bob.
I had to print this out because I couldn't deal with it on the computer.
I didn't bring a pen to sign in, but Bob knows who I am. Robert Deglaw from Allstate Surveying, Irwin, PA.
Okay, so this is out in past export on Old 22.
Myers Bus Garage is nearby.
Yeah. And you got, I guess, a bunch of existing lots of record?
Yeah, so it's more or less near export, right off the edge of town, off Old 22, if you look at the site map. So James, who I'm representing, both owners, but James, as you could see, would
Is an addition.
have, let me open up the reason he's doing this is he went to Murrayville to get a shed permit. So, and
Opened
that
up
was
a
last
can of
year.
words.
Yeah, that was last year. So he wants to put a shed up.
There you go. Green button.
Green button. Okay. James lives there,
Right.
and James comes up the road to his dwelling, and he has this sloped yard, and he has this sloped.
You have to use the microphone, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's right, sorry. I had a long day today. So he went to Murrayville to get a permit to put the shed right about in the middle of his property, right there. And so they looked at everything and says, hey, you got to combine some property lines so the setbacks all go to the edge. So he wants to consolidate And that'll be his final lot, Lot 2B, which is 2.49 acres.
That's this.
And while he was out there looking where he wants to put his shed, his neighbor to the, I guess it would be to the east, because north is straight up. So he has this property driveway to get up to his home, which then you go up to here. He has a big lot with a remote house. He wants to sell, give, trade, because they're really good friends, a small side yard so he can enjoy that area that he's been mowing for him. So a lot of these property lines go over topographic little streams and hills and everything. So on the property, which I'll identify right here, right there is their common line to a certain degree. And Jim wants to purchase that too, so you can, he's been mowing all that. And right in this area here is a deeper ravine. There's no actual tributary there, but it was recently, and you may be aware of that area, Export, it was recently reclaimed. So there was a coal mine.
Refuse.
So, yeah,
Like a bony paw, yeah.
yeah, so they capped it, and it's all beautiful hillside now. So that physically inhibits the neighbor, which is Anthony, to bring his tractor over and cut the grass. He has to come, he's going to cut the grass. I mean, I learned all this meeting with both of them. So he has to bring his tractor down here, around here, to cut that grass. So Jim said, I'd gladly buy that from you because I've been mowing it for a long time. So we're doing two things with this subdivision consolidation. We're consolidating some of those old, unrecorded Jonathan Snyder plans, which is lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Getting rid of those because they're not useful, but they were deeded, so he bought those. He wants to consolidate those and buy a little add-on on-building parcel of his neighbor, consolidate that, and then they'll be as happy as can be.
I have one question. The red,
Red?
right here, there's red, it looks like it's denoting a 40-foot street unopened.
Right there.
Yeah, okay, and then you've got this like little hash thing that says to me that that's going to go away.
Oh, like the land hook?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, that doesn't show up out on the property. You can't tell where that is. It's just a paper street.
Right.
It's not public, it's not Exports or Murrayville, but for some reason it shows up on the deeds of record, and we're just reflecting that. And we just show that we're not changing use of it. If both of those
I
men,
thought that meant it was going away.
if both of those men or another neighbor came up, got an attorney and said, hey, I want to put a tractor trail up through there, good luck, but I want to do that, and I want to go over there and access that. They could possibly do that because it shows up on their deeds, but we're just reflecting that it's there.
Okay.
And we're not getting rid of it, but we have to show it.
Okay.
Okay. Staff have any concerns or recommendations on this, Mr.
No,
Moore?
we had done the initial review and identified some concerns. One was the zoning there, and sent those along to Mr. Deglaw, and he's responded, and everything's in order at this point.
The staff recommends we approve this or recommend this to council.
Yes.
Any questions or comments from the planning commission? No? You have a motion?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we pass on with our approval to council the Sicko Battaglia lot line revision and consolidation and all the tax parcels that are listed here to create two lots, 3060 and 3030 Ketchy Road, RR zoning.
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jim. The owners will be happy. I'll tell them tomorrow. And also, if you're down Export, he wanted me to tell you, if you like
Stop at the
moonshine,
distillery.
yeah, his
I know where that is.
his boy has a little distillery down there that he makes really good moonshine.
Thanks, Bob.
This will go to council next Wednesday.
Okay, the next item is an advisory concerning an application for the rezoning of approximately 19.3 acres of land on Logan's Ferry Road. This is down near the
Old Hornsby House.
Hornsby House, but it's near the, what do they call
Oh,
it?
that-
Franklin Town.
Near
Well-
Franklin
Well,
Town, but
Yeah, and then that
in
nursing
nursing,
home,
nursing,
I don't know what it's called anymore.
Sometimes I have trouble with this because of the,
Mr. Hogenroth, are you representing this applicant as well?
I am.
I have.
Now, are you going to
Is this
charge
your
both
application?
applicants?
I have
for
one.
the land?
Oh,
That's pretty
Thought
good.
we were friends, Bob.
Okay.
Low blow, Bob.
Yeah, really. It's like when
right.
you try to put me at the end all the time. This is a.
see, the drives won't show up on.
And I know there's
here.
been a lot of talk
Oh,
about
here we go.
R3.
All right.
Needing R3 in Murrayville.
do you want?
And you worked on an overlay district for a long time, but that never seemed to get hold of anything. This is a property that they'd like to rezone to R3
Oh, that's why my mouse was.
with Franklin Town, which is an R3 zone. With a variety of
other side.
townhouses geared to senior citizens. Guys like us, people like, not you, Jane,
Oh, no, I'm right there with you.
not you, Anthony.
Got
Guys
some
like
young
us.
pups here.
And, you know, they want a smaller thing, don't cut the grass, you know, don't shovel the snow, all that kind of.
This one?
No, there's Bob.
It fits, it has a couple issues to it, which I'll let the applicant talk
This one?
about.
Second, no, second.
There are two single-family homes that
This
are
one?
sold out of the property, which
Whispering.
I don't know how that occurred.
I've been there forever, though.
Yeah, I guess they have been. But I would guess that they need to join in the application or have some type of permission with the application.
Do we have this drawing?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
No wonder I couldn't find it.
just got it.
Okay.
Can you put that up, Jim?
This?
This thing.
What do you want, Bob?
Yeah. This one here.
Site plan?
I couldn't find that in the Dropbox. I don't think it was
It's
there.
not in
I
there.
don't think we have that. That was not submitted.
And we,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
You bring the overhead up, and there we
There you go.
this is the property in red. Green and red. That they have under agreement. And they would like to build about 20 townhouses in this area here.
Microphone.
About 20 townhouses in
Turn it
this,
so we can read it, thank you.
in this area here, and perhaps single-family homes here, or townhouses, depending upon what the market wants. Clubhouse, recreational clubhouse for the residents and what have you. And it gives about 20, if these turn into townhouses, it would be 30 townhouses. Without those, about 20 townhouses earmarked for seniors. And that's the idea. These two parcels, which are carved out of the parcel, have houses on it. So again, I don't know that you can zone without getting their permission to zone the whole thing. Maybe you can. I don't know, Jim. Can you do that? You can? Okay. Wouldn't be spot zoning because it touches on Franklin Town. It touches the R3 zone. As you know, it's handy. It'd be great for seniors because it's handy to ferries and places like Bob's Inn and all that is almost in walking distance from it. And right here is the nursing facility.
Right.
What is it?
Rehab.
Yeah.
One step away, huh?
Easy with that. Easy with that, but it's close. So that's their intention, and they're here for an advisory. So the question is, what do you think?
Well, I don't have any objections turning it into R3 per se. It's just that from what I see down there, that ground's very steep.
Right, I was gonna say, what's the topography there?
Once you go up that valley behind the houses, I think you're going to run into a lot of issues with
Would be.
topography and whatnot.
It could be that these, where they have the single-family homes, maybe it does become too steep. I don't know. They haven't done any of that. They're just here to get an idea. Is this something you say, absolutely not, or let's move further with it?
I don't have any objection to, I like the location for R3. And like you said, it does butt up against Franklin Town. I don't know if you're going to get pushback from the two homeowners that are there.
Tim seems to think you don't need to change their zoning, so maybe that's,
Right.
maybe my thought was incorrect, that you'd have to change everything.
Yeah. It is something that we need.
I guess, Bob, your comments are just kind of a word to the wise. If you have to go develop this and you're going to run into super costs or super constraints, at least recognize up front that
Right.
that's an issue.
How about the traffic there? I mean, down there by Murraysville Medic 1 and the fire department and that little bridge, that's a real soft spot.
That's a failed
be kind.
intersection.
That's an F. It's already an F.
It's not like right there, but you're right, it is close to it, yeah.
Well,
Well, that's how you're gonna get there.
up Logan's Ferry every day, 5 o'clock, it is lined up all the way up to where Shangri-La.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty close anyway.
It was mentioned it's a senior facility.
Did they publish the hearing?
It is for anybody.
Mainly focusing the senior community, so the design of the house is such a way that we will have master bedroom on the main level, and we will have laundry and other facilities. So the design will be built considering the senior community.
I think it's
More friendly towards the seniors.
This is a mountain.
Yeah.
Well, townhouses,
up here.
seniors really don't work well together.
Right.
Usually one floor you want. You want one floor.
Yeah, you want one floor, so more like a
This
carriage home type
Yeah.
that's
thing.
again like what
So,
you
and then,
The ones that have been most successful, I think, are either the zero lot line lands, which is up by where Jane lives.
Lake
and-
Ridge.
Yeah, and then the ones that have an upstairs, like a loft kind of thing, where when the grandkids
Right.
sleep over and that kind of
Who
stuff.
can do the steps?
Yeah, there's a two-story, but almost all the real living is on the first floor, but you do have space upstairs for someone to
Yes,
come,
yeah.
grandkids come and that kind
Right.
of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, second level is mainly for the guests. There will be additional 2 or 3 bedrooms, depending on the requirement. And regarding the topography, we are consulting with the professional civil engineering firm. And looking at the engineering drawings, it looks impossible looking at the topography. But if you take the walk on the property, there are some areas where it can be graded, and that area can be utilized because between the two valleys, there is a really flat land there. It can be utilized along with the topography. We consulted the professional civil engineering firm.
how many acres is this? 19 altogether?
19.
It's
Yeah.
parcel is 19 acre. And we are not going to change most of the hills area in the back. So we're going to keep majority of the space in the back area for the green space. Maybe we'll have some walking trails, So we'll keep majority of the green space on the hill area, not disturb any of the earth in that area to keep the existing beauty as is.
That creek that runs through it, does it flood?
No, we checked that, and this area doesn't come into a floodplain area. So there is a natural stream that flows. If you see this blue line,
Yep.
so that is a natural stream, and that goes under the existing Logan Ferry Road. And area below this is in the flood area, but the property is not. We checked into the existing floodplain, Pennsylvania State floodplain. Yeah, FEMA.
Well, I guess the planning commission doesn't see any objections in general to the R3. I think it's going to be incumbent upon you to
Make it,
see whether it's feasible to work or not.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's not a flat piece of ground, that's for sure.
That's correct, yeah.
So, any comments or questions from the members of the planning commission?
no?
No? Any other questions for us, Charlie?
Yeah, so we would like to know what is the recommendation for us so we can plan things accordingly. I mean, if you have any objections for the rezoning, do we have to submit the official application, and what are the next steps? If we can get some guidelines.
You know, anything we say here tonight can't be held against us.
Right.
You know, you have to make a formal application and go through the hearing process and all of that, and it's really up, we're a recommending body, so it would have to go before council. And, you know, typically with these kinds of things, you have adjoining property owners that may have a completely different view of it than you do. But it is adjacent to an R3. It's not a spot zoning.
I think the answer is file the application, because the question was, if you would say, there's no way you're going to do this, then why go through the effort? But if there's, you know, at least there's no great objection, or you can't see some absolute block to it, we'll file the application and move forward.
Well, I would advise you to spend a little bit of money on engineering to see how feasible this
Right.
is, rather
Where
than
your roads
wasting
are gonna
money on
be.
applications. And
That's why he's here. Maybe he can-
I'm Jason Kubiak with ESI, and we would be doing like the environmental due diligence and the grading plan to make sure that everything does work and is in accordance with the municipality's regulations and everything. So we would be doing that for him.
okay. All right.
So
If I-
that, the adjacent property, there's currently a house on it, you said?
There's two houses there.
There are three houses actually. Three houses total.
Great.
There's two in that area.
One here and then two in this area.
And what about to the right, where it says single-family home, but it's colored in green? That's,
Which one? This one?
yes.
So this is our proposed, so in this area, we thought maybe we can build one single-family home because the topography doesn't allow multi-unit townhomes.
That's part of their property.
Yeah, this is part of our property.
Is that part of the 19 acres?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
That's a mountain.
so these other two properties are currently zoned R2?
No, the entire property, including these houses, are zoned R1.
Okay, so you're going to create two small areas of R1 zoning then?
Though it's already R1.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
if you
the
rezone it
R3 would
to R3, you're
surround
going to
it.
create a lot there in the middle of R3.
That's what my question was.
Yeah.
And their existing lot size is not according to the district zoning R1 guideline.
It's a non-conforming lot.
Yeah,
Conforming
not
lot.
conforming lot.
What about the other lot?
Both, all three are below 1 acre lots, so
Yeah, there's actually two lots in here.
Okay.
I think one is 1.1, which conforms to the R1 district zoning requirement, but the other two, they are less than 1 acre.
My recommendation would be to zone, if it's going to consider rezoning, we consider rezoning all four of the lots,
Yeah.
which could open you up for objections from the adjacent property owners, but that would be something for council to decide. I would do some homework and see if those people have any objection.
It might increase the value of their property ultimately. I'm not sure, but.
It doesn't matter, they're non-conforming lots at this point.
Okay.
So I think the rezoning should address all four.
So,
Yeah, you might want to talk to those owners and see what their thoughts are, if they join the application or not.
So if they join, do we have to submit application for each house, or it will be just one application for the entire parcel?
Well, there's going to be several applications you're going to make. One is going to be, your first one is your rezoning request. Second, you're going to have a subdivision plan, and I don't know if you're planning on doing this as a PRD or
PRD, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be a long, involved process.
So do you recommend we work simultaneously, or we have to first get the rezoning done and then work on the subdivision?
Well, If it were me, I would spend a little bit of money with the engineer to make sure that this is something you can do,
Right.
and how many units you're going to get out of it.
Sure.
And then if all that seems favorable to you from an economic standpoint, then go ahead and do the submission for rezoning.
I mean, either case, we have planned to buy this property because our plan is to move ourselves on the property as well. So we're not just developing for others, but our plan is to also move along with our family on the property. So we will be developing so that it will look nice, also meets the neighborhood appeal.
Sure. Okay.
I would show a map like that showing those other 4 properties, where that property line is on the middle lot there. You say it's 2, those are 2 recorded lots now?
Yeah, they are shown on the subdivision. So we have submitted the application for rezoning with all the attachments. I'm not sure if we need anything more or that's enough, what we have already submitted.
That's steep.
Two houses are built on this one parcel.
Yeah.
Okay, it's only one lot of record.
And the same here is one lot for each.
2 lots, yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I think that as part of your application, you should identify that as existing non-conforming or 1 lots. And that'll help us through the process of rezoning. I don't know if there's going to be objections there or not by those existing property owners, but I certainly would touch base with them and see what kind of roadblocks there may exist.
So if we get written authorization from the existing homeowners that they do not have any objection, would this be considered as just one application for the entire parcel?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
There would have to be some kind of authorization there
Sure.
from those property owners.
And we have submitted all the documents that are needed for the official application. It's just that we haven't really paid the fees and made it official.
That's right.
Based on the documentation that we have submitted, do you see any additional documentation other than what you just mentioned about?
For the rezoning?
Yeah.
No, other than these other
Permission.
properties.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
That's it. Thank you so
Okay,
much for your
thank you,
time.
good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other business, Mr. Morrison?
No, sir.
No, okay. Earl,
We see on the May agenda, there's Cherry Farms is coming back.
The potential exists. We haven't seen anything yet.
What's in our Dropbox?
That's me carrying the folder forward, so I know to keep taking it forward till it's submitted.
Oh, so they haven't submitted anything?
No, we have nothing on that record.
What about Redstone?
Yes. Redstone.
are they pursuing a?
I've got nothing from them.
How serious do you think they are about that?
I think that they have time on their hands. I don't think they're in any rush.
Apparently not. Okay, nothing else? Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, excuse me.
I wasn't here, so I can't.
Yeah, we have minutes from
Verify
March the 8th. Is there any comments or corrections to the minutes as presented?
No.
No. I have a motion to
Accept the minutes?
accept them.
There was an
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn? No.
Yeah, we did. I made.
You
so
made
moved.
it?
Yeah,
Okay,
but-
but we didn't
Seconded.
vote on it.
Yeah.
So all those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
We can officially go home.
Okay.